First of all, Iowa hosted like 80 guys, some ridiculous, maybe it was 40, I don't know, some multiple of 20 this past weekend against Penn State. I mean, tons of guys coming in. Not all of them had offers, and a lot of them probably won't get offers. But one major win coming out of this game against Penn State, running back Kaleb Johnson out of Hamilton, Ohio. Obviously, we know when you can get a skill position player out of Ohio, that's a great thing. Here's a guy who's 6'1", 215, so he's got some size. He's not an Akram Wadley. Here's a guy at a high school who's big, but he doesn't run necessarily like a LaShawn Daniels. He's got better flexibility. He seems to have better agility. He doesn't have breakaway speed, and you wouldn't expect that from a guy who's, again, 6'1", 215. 247 Sports listed some other offers. I'm going to read those here for you. Iowa State, California. I believe he was committed to Cal prior to flipping to Iowa. Cincinnati, Kentucky, Michigan State, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, West Virginia. So you can see a couple Big Ten offers in there. Again, doesn't blow me away. And by the way, he is class of 2022. Doesn't blow me away with his top-end speed. But what we've seen here, and this is something that I've noticed, at least with these last two running back commits, and I'm talking about Kaleb Johnson and Jazian Patterson out of Florida, is I think we're starting to see the type of running back that Liddell Betts is going to target. And if you think about who Liddell Betts was at Iowa, here's a guy who really played with an underwhelming offensive line and had to break a lot of tackles, play big, and play maybe bigger than his size at times. And, of course, then he exceeded at the next level with Washington doing the same thing. We're starting to see what he wants at Iowa in a running back. Now, of course, you're going to defer to Kirk and Brian as far as ultimately who Liddell Betts in Iowa offers. But I think we're starting to see Liddell is going to target guys who have a little bit of size. They're not, you're not going to have a lot of undersized kids. I would be surprised. I'm not saying you're not going to take an Akram Wadley who's explosive behind the line of scrimmage, but again, you're going to want guys. You see Liddell Betts targeting guys who have a strong lower body, have balance. I mean, Kaleb Johnson and Jazian Patterson both popped off to me as guys who are hard to take down. Again, not necessarily the greatest top-end speed. Kind of like Mekhi Sargent. I don't want to say, obviously, Liddell he was not involved with the Mekhi Sargent recruitment, but Mekhi was a guy who had some speed, had some agility, but was also big enough to pack a punch, and he's a hard guy to bring down. And what do you know? Mekhi Sargent is the only running back on an active roster who played college football at Iowa. So I see that in Kaleb Johnson. Again, it's early. I say this with every recruiting pitch that I make or video that I make. It's hard to really. It's impossible to say, oh, this guy's going to be a huge difference maker. I think Jazian Patterson is a notch above a lot of who Iowa has recruited to that position for a number of years, with the exception maybe being Tyler Goodson. So I'm excited about Jazian. I'm excited about Kaleb. Obviously more excited about Patterson, but no, there's no question. Kaleb Johnson, complete back, and we're seeing that Liddell Betts is wanting to target guys who can kind of do it all. And boy, with this development at Iowa and this offensive line that's a pretty deep unit right now as it continues to improve, the future is bright for a guy like Kaleb Johnson, who is class of 2022.